everyone, Olivia Chapman from Tortured Vines here today with another episode of Quarantine and Chilled Wine. Today we're bringing to you a really fun, easy at-home pairing and tasting activity that you can do just to learn some of the elements of wine and elements of wine pairing. To start, you want to make sure you have your space as ready to go as possible. So you really want to be careful of a few things. One, you want some really good light so you can really assess the wine, judge the wine, take a good look at it. You want to make sure you really don't have too much outside noise, any extra noise, just to let you get really into what you're doing. You can put some mood music on if you like. I personally like some Lindsey Sterling, some string music in the background when I taste and pair and read about wine. So that's a really fun station to go to. You also just want to make sure you don't have any heavy smells. So avoid putting on any heavy perfumes, any heavy lotions, even sometimes being in the kitchen if you have a lot of cooking smells, things like that. Just to really set yourself up to really enjoy this and get the most out of it as possible. And so today, we're going to be talking about how the elements of salt, acid, and sweet impact the flavors of your wine. So for that, I figured you can find some things at home pretty easily. I chose some Himalayan sea salt. You could also do saltine crackers, anything like that to really give you that salty feeling. For acid, I chose some lemon wedges. Pretty easy, slice up a lemon, or if you have lemon juice in the fridge, anything acidic like that to give you that puckery mouth feel will work in this instance. And then for sweet, I have some vegan soft baked cookies, but anything sweet will do, graham crackers even, some fruit, anything like that will really still get this point across. And then we go to the wines that we chose. I wanted a high acid wine in contrast to a sweet wine, really just to give you those different flavors and see how the foods interact with the wine. So for my high acid wine, I chose the Noblo Sauvignon Blanc. This is the bottle that we keep at the house pretty much all times, something that we really love. It is a very, very highly acidic wine. Any of the Marlborough Sauvignon Blancs are very, very acidic. So it's a really great wine for this type of pairing to just give you those acidic flavors and really let you see how the food and wine play together. You also want a sweet wine. For that, I have the Chateau Saint Michelle Sweet Riesling. And that's one I hadn't had before, but it came really highly recommended. So I went with it at the store, and we have that as our sweet wine. Any dessert wine, fruit wines, anything like that will work really well for that example. In addition, so we have everything sort of set up here and ready to go. A few other notes on tastings. You want to make sure you have a stemmed glass that really just gives you the most out of it. So you can put it on the table, you can swirl it, you can sniff it. Smells like wine. All that good stuff. You also want to make sure that the bowl is nice and clean, no fingerprints, no lipstick marks, anything like that, so that can actually change the taste of the wine. You also want to choose a stemmed glass because the glasses that don't have stems force you to put your hand around it, and that can actually change the flavors of the wine, just from the warmth and then also from the oils in your hands. So you want to be really careful and always for tastings choose a stemmed glass. Another point before we get started, you also want to make sure that your wines have sat out for at least 5, 10, 15 minutes because refrigerated temperature is actually too cold for proper tasting. So you want to make sure they come out and just warm up just a little bit so you can get all those true flavors. And then if you're tasting new wines or a lot of wines at once, you'll want a spittoon handy. For this instance, we have 2 wines, 3 pairings. I didn't feel it was necessary, but if you wanted, you could definitely have that good to go. I do have a glass of water just to refresh my palate. So first, we're going to talk about just how the food elements themselves do different things, and then we'll get into the tasting. So in WSET training, we learned that certain foods are friends of wine, and certain foods are foes of wine. So things that are easy to pair, things that are hard to pair. And salt and acid are both friends of wine. With that, they make wine taste less bitter, less dry, less acidic, more sweet, more fruity. Now, sweet, on the other hand, is a faux of wine. Makes wines taste less sweet, more dry, more bitter, making it something that's really hard to pair with. So to get started and demonstrate this all to you, we'll go first with salty and the Sauvignon Blanc. So you'll see I have my glass poured here, ready to go, and I got my salt. So what I'm gonna do first is take a sniff, take a taste, and you really want to coat your full mouth with it because the different parts can be different tastes, different flavors, different feel. Whenever I taste that, you can definitely get that acidity because you can feel your mouth kind of starting to water a little bit. That's what tells you it's a very high acid wine. But it's also still bright, it's crisp, it's a good wine. This is one of my favorites. So after that, we want to see how salt impacts it. So just wet your finger, get you a good old fingerful of salt here, and plop it right on in. Very salty. And then next, let's see how that changes our wine. So get your Sauvignon Blanc and taste it. And did you notice that it cut down on the acidity of the wine? You don't have as much of that mouth-watery feeling afterwards. You can actually get more of the flavors of sweetness out of the wine. I definitely pick up more individual fruit than I could previously. It really helps pull back some of that acidic layer of the wine and give you more of the complexity of it. So in my opinion, I would say salty foods, Sauvignon Blanc, great pairing. Now let's try the same thing with our Riesling. All right. Smells sweet. Smells like pears. Let's take a sip. Definitely sweet. I can feel the sugar in my mouth, kind of coating everywhere. Really not high acid. I don't have that, that mouth feeling. Let's see what happens when we try it with some salt. Yep, that's salty. I don't know if you saw my face there, but that was not super pleasant to me. I already find this wine very sweet, and that made it even sweeter. So it tastes like a little bit of a sugar bomb. So for me, that's really not a pairing that I'd really be into. If you love things that are super sweet, and that's your daily drinker, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but personally, wouldn't be my first choice. Now, we know that salt and lemon act similar, so let's move on to the lemon next and see how that impacts our wines. Let's grab a quick sip here. All right, and back to our Sauvignon Blanc, just a little taste. Tastes good, still highly acidic. Now let's try some lemon with it. Yep, really acidic. And then whenever you're ready, that I really quite enjoyed. It pulled back the acidity of the wine. Too much lemon pulled back that acidity of the wine and give you more of those fruit flavors. So a lot of peach and stone fruit that's kind of lying underneath the surface of the wine can really come forward. So I think that's a really fun pairing. I personally love Sauvignon Blanc with any sort of lemon fish dish. So like whenever I make scallops, I always add a lot of lemon, a lot of butter, and I think that pairs excellently with the Sauvignon Blanc because it does kind of balance out some of that acidity. Even any sort of salad, citrus dressings, things like that go really, really well. So a good summer salad is also a delicious pairing. And now, let's gear up for some more lemon. All right, we got our Riesling. Again, pretty sweet. Still sweet. And then we get our lemon. Yep, we got our lemon. All right, let's go for our Riesling again. Again, we've learned lemon and salt both make wine even sweeter, so let's see. Yep, that's a very sweet wine now. Very, very sweet. And I'm not really, this by itself is already a little sweet for me, so that makes it even sweeter. So for myself and my purposes, that's not a pairing that I would choose. I'd probably go with that Sauvignon Blanc again. But now we're gonna go to the cookies, which is one of our wine foes. And as we learned, it makes wine taste less sweet. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how that fares. All right, start with our Riesling this time. And let's grab a bite of cookie. Go cookies. And again, sweet wine. Not bad. I actually prefer the wine after the cookies than before the cookies because it does strip back a little bit of that sweetness. It gives you a little more of that pure fruit forward flavor without being like a sugar bomb. So that actually, I think that's a delicious pairing and something we'll probably do while we're home because we have a box of those little cookies. So next, let's cleanse our palates real quick. And go to the Sauvignon Blanc. Now, if we remember, cookies are generally pairing foes, makes things less sweet, more acidic. So let's see, because this one's already pretty acid heavy. All right, we got our wine. Got the cookies. I can link the cookies below for anyone interested. They're really incredible vegan soft baked cookies from Whole Foods. Not the point of the tasting, but it's a good find. Now we got our mouth all cookied up. Let's try the Sauvignon Blanc. Not terrible, but the wine honestly tastes pretty bland. Really strips back some of that sweetness, a lot of the really good flavors in it. So I personally wouldn't pair that unless it was, a late night snack and I was already drinking a glass of wine and I wanted some cookies. With that being said, going back to our tasting notes, salty and acid make wine taste sweeter, less acidic, so it's great with a high acid wine. Really strip it back, get more of those fruit flavors. Sweet foods, you always want to pair with a wine that's as sweet, if not more sweet than your food. because as you notice here today with your tasting, it really strips back some of that sweetness. So a wine that's not super sweet can taste pretty bad. So with that, again, these are all just some tasting guidelines, some tasting notes, some things just to keep in mind. There's no wrong pairing, there's no wrong tasting, there's no wrong favorite wine. The best wines, the best pairings are what you enjoy and what you have at home and what makes you feel the most comfortable. These are just some guidelines, some tips, things like that, just if you were interested in experimenting with some pairings or wondered why certain things were recommended together. Like I'd recommend this Sauvignon Blanc again with some seafood, some lemon pepper chicken, some fresh grilled items, things like that, just to really enhance the flavors. The sweet Riesling, dessert, cake, cookies, ice cream, even some mild cheeses, a fruit board. Those will all be some absolutely amazing pairings in my opinion. But again, there's no wrong pairing. The best wine, the best pairing is the one that you enjoy. So what I'm going to end with today is a really cool quote that I actually learned in wine class. So let me go here so I don't mess it up. Food and drinks are not only critical to our survival, but are also a dazzling exposition of our skill in converting necessity into elegance. Lionel Tiger. So I think that's something that's really fun about food and wine is that it takes things that are sustenance, that are everyday, and just elevates it a little bit and just can enhance things together and play on flavors, and really is something that's really fun and really wonderful in my opinion. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope that you learned something, even a little something, even tried some new wines, anything like that. That's what we're here for, is just some wine knowledge, some fun pairings, some fun tastings. Again, the best pairing is the one that you enjoy. So for today, stay thirsty, my friends. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything else that's coming out. So we have a lot more fun pairings like this coming, some more wine knowledge, some grocery store recommendations, things like that coming your way. Anything else you'd like to see, feel free to leave in the comments and we'll see what we can do about it. Otherwise, stay safe and stay thirsty, my friends.